All right, all right. It seems like it's time for us to uh, start our new presentation. Welcome to IAAAM. We are a group of therapists and experts in different alternative therapies, always searching for the balance in health, in life, in wellness, and all these beautiful things. Tonight, our topic is healing the inner child, and we're so happy to have some of our Anglo-speaking members. We already did one presentation in Spanish, so I'd like to welcome you guys. It's a beautiful topic. We already see many of you already playing and feeling that inner child come out. So we celebrate you guys. We'd like to start. Well, I see Richard. I see Richard like talking to me like you want to be the first kid to come like in the classroom. So welcome, Richard. We'd like to ask, starting by asking each one of you, what's your take, no, on or your perception on this inner child that seems to be with us always, even till the last day that we breathe. Welcome.
Yes, thank you, Kike, and hello, everybody. A warm hello to everyone. And yes, what's very interesting is yes, my inner child is very present right now, and this is something that I'll be honest with you. This is something new for me, and I actually just learned very recently, within the past month and a half or so, to connect with my inner child. And that was, I'm blessed to be in the presence of our hypnotherapist, Maria Pilar Gonzalez, and Dr. Newman, who had actually done some hypnopuncture on me. And I actually I faced a huge fear of mine, which was connecting with my inner child. And both of them together helped me connect with that inner child. And that's who you see is present here before you today, is someone who is loving unconditionally, is very happy, is very open. I'm just very transparent. I am who I am. I feel a lot of peace, a lot of compassion, a lot of just joy and love. And so to I guess to basically say, really, the inner child is so important, and I've lived so long without connecting with that inner child, and I was in survival mode the whole time, just trying to survive. And and people kept telling me, once you connect with that inner child, you're going to see how amazing you see. It's like another version of you. It's like the 2.0 version of you. And that was hard for me to understand, because I'm like, what do you mean? I'm great already. But again, from a survival, a warrior who's gone in battle mode, you have to think you're great and feel you're great despite all the arrows and daggers and gunshot wounds and all these wounds one might have faced in life. And so therefore, I did connect with that inner child, and I realized that all those wounds started to heal. And so immediately I was able to just kind of connect and feel that joy in my heart, and it just kind of pushes all limiting beliefs and negativity away. It makes me feel like I belong. My issue has always been abandonment issues, and kids tend to have feelings of abandonment issues. And now I feel fulfilled connected with my child. That's my part. I'm sure you're going to hear great stories about what a lot of these therapists and specialists have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Richard. And of course, we're going to be talking about your practice in a few moments from your standpoint of view, how we can heal the inner child. Well, that seems to be an answer. Okay, Gaya Stepanian, president of the International Association of Alternative and Ancient Medicine. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Wonderful evening. I'm Gaya, and we're all very excited to be here to talk about something that's so important, because the truth is that, from the minute that we're born, before we're born, we're coming with memories into this life. And those memories, every single experience that we've ever had, is stored in our cells, is stored within our spirit. And whether we're aware of it or not, every experience that we've ever had forms us for good or for bad. And really, nothing is for bad. It's just that the harsh experiences that we have are meant to be lessons. When we can understand the meaning of those lessons and their purpose, then we can overcome and heal the wounds that we may have experienced within the womb or during our childhood. So much of our life experience the obstacles that we experience, the hardships that we live, really stem from experiences within that earliest time of our life. And when we can understand their root, whether they're loyalties to our parents or our ancestors, much of the hardship that we have sometimes, and we don't understand why we do certain things or why certain things repeat themselves. And sometimes it's not even about us. It might be that there's an unconscious loyalty that an innocent child within their experience may observe a hardship that a mother or father is going through, or a challenge that they may be going through. And therefore, that innocent child in a split second thinks, oh, please take away my daddy's pain. I'll take it for him. In a split second. You know, maybe dad had an alcohol problem and was depressed, or maybe he lost a job and became, you know, aggressive. And so the child may say, I don't want my daddy to hurt anymore. I don't want him to be, maybe it's my fault. Let me carry that. And it's a split second thought that a child may have that we don't even remember. But in that moment, we then create this loyalty to their sadness, their pain, their anger, and we carry it throughout our lifetime without understanding how it is that we started that way. And many times it's not even our own. So being able to uncover these painful events or these moments in time in which those memories happen are key in terms of a lot of the healing that happens, or that it needs to happen for us to be able to be free of the anger and free of the sadness. You know, sometimes people will say in session, you know, I've been depressed as long as I can remember, but I don't remember going through something traumatic. But when we look at if mom was sad, or if dad was sad, or if they were living with some sort of depression, then it starts to kind of unravel that maybe this is something that's been carried throughout the family line, and that person is in a sense carrying the torch of that same emotion. That has nothing to do with their experience, really their own personal, you know, traumas necessarily. And so being able to delve into that, and through so many different wonderful methods within alternative ancient medicine, oftentimes in Western medicine, you pop a pill, right? You're depressed, let's take some Prozac. But that's not healing. A pill is never going to heal. It's going to mask and then create a dependency. And then getting off that dependency is going to create a whole other hurdle of issues. But looking in and being willing to open ourselves up to other ways in which we can look at our whole person that makes us up, whether it's through acupuncture, whether it's through, you know, angel therapy, whether it's through going into the Akashic records, whether it's through Reiki or through biomagnetism, emotional decoding, or a number of ways that we can, even what we eat can trigger emotions and has a vibration. And the nutrients that we put into our bodies, as Richard well knows, can trigger a vibration and a shift in our vibration too. So there are many ways to being able to uncover and heal that inner child, but it takes some work, right? This panel of people here are courageous because we've been doing work, and I think it's a never-ending story, really. But as we peel away layers of the pain and the hurt, then we become lighter and life becomes easier. It becomes magical in a sense, you know? And so that's a little bit about what I wanted to share with you today. There's so much more wonderful things that I know the rest of the panel is going to be sharing. So thank you for these moments.
Thank you, Gaya. It's delightful to hear you and get to know from each one's point of view what's their definition of the inner child. It's hard for me to choose because I have you guys in front of me, and it's almost like picking somebody, you know. But I feel that right now, like asking Dr. Justin Newman, and of course we're going to have Claudia Rotman coming, and Sami, and Angel. So it's going to be fun. Perhaps from the traditional Chinese medicine and Western cultures that you know so much, you want to share with us a little bit of that inner child, Dr. Newman.
Thank you, Kike, and thank you to my fellow panelists for sharing this time, all of us together. It's a blessing that we can create this time for ourselves and for our community. I'm glad you mentioned traditional Chinese medicine. This is my specialty. I've been in private practice now for 23 years as a doctor of Chinese medicine, holistic and functional medicine, and the religious frameworks of Taoism and Buddhism, they intertwine very closely with Chinese medicine, you know, by their culture. And there's a philosophy that's at the cornerstone of Chinese medicine, and that is if you have all of these elements of yin and yang in balance, you'll never get sick, age, or die. And so there are stories, not just there, but throughout India of beings that live forever, just assisting people, humanity in its development. For now, I feel that might be a rabbit hole to go down, but there's a meditative technique that centers around the immortal fetus that's always present within your being, and it's that stays with you. They call immortal fetus or inner child. And you're born with that capacity to have, as Gaya said, a magical and wonderful perspective, a filter, a lens to look at the whole world. All of us come into the world as embodied souls, and the double-edged sword here is that we forget everything that we've experienced in the between and in those finer dimensions where we spend most of our existence, actually. And we come here with a fresh, clean lens to experience the world in its fresh, its vibrant and wonderful nature, and to learn and to grow. But you know, as we all well know, our experiences in the world with other human beings that have struggled with misunderstandings and misperceptions by inheriting stories from ancestors, teachers, parents, and others that are not quite accurate, it makes it difficult to maintain that fresh, wonderful state of being with which we were designed to encounter the world. And that part of ourself, the inner child, it gets compartmentalized, and the lens becomes a little bit thicker, and we start to put masks and hats on and costumes and take on different characters and personas, all the while forgetting that the inner child is and always will be there, but that part of us will remain silent in some compartment until, fortunately, with experiences like Richard was mentioning, we can unlock, you know, and remember where that part of us has been all of this time. We can clean the lens that we're looking at the world through, and regain a lot of the wonder and the magic to you know, that are available for us in the world. But it does take a certain amount of courage, because there are, you know, for most of us, a lot of layers that get put on top of that inner child. So many that we forget, like I said, that that part of ourself is there. And I feel that, you know, a lot of the work that we do as therapists, doctors and healers of different capacities, is to help our clients and our patients to reach back into those parts of themselves that have been locked away, and to allow and invite and make room for those parts of ourselves to sort of reintegrate with the totality of who and what we are. And the pity is that most people don't know. So they drift their whole life and never really scratch the surface of what's possible. But that inner child is always there and always available. We just have to make room for and be willing to engage the world with a fresh lens. Thank you so much for your time.
Excellent.
You're the best.
And we can feel your excitement in sharing this.
I love Dr. Newman.
We all love Dr. Newman. So thank you so much. We're going to be sharing after Claudia and Sami, your own perspective on healing through your practice, you know, in this case, the inner child. So it's funny, or it's beautiful, that you mentioned the fragments of the soul in a way, because that's something that Claudia is also speaking a lot these days about how to defragment the soul and from the Akashic Records practice. So Claudia, we'd like to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody. Wonderful information. So from the perspective of the Akashic Records, every emotion, every experience, every word gets recorded into this field of energy that is Akasha. So the inner child, depending on that perception of that child, even when we are in the womb, we already start. And even before, we have this whole plan of the things that we need to come here and learn. And we choose the perfect people that are going to come and help us with that plan. But like Dr. Newman said, we forget what we came here to do. So every emotion, every word, every experience is recorded in this field of energy. And based on this perception, based on this experience, we're going to have fragmented pieces of the soul. This is when the fragment, those little pieces separate, and then we have to become someone we are not. We have to find ways to protect ourselves, to protect that child. And that's why when Richard was saying, you know, I am perfect, I am courageous, I'm out there, I do this, I do that. Well, that's what the child needed to do to protect and survive in this world. So when we go through the Akashic Records and we ask our masters, our teachers, where we are today, this is my experience. There's something missing. I'm empty. I don't have love. You know, I'm so courageous and this and that, but there's something missing in my life. Our masters, our teachers are going to take us to that moment in time where that experience got printed in the Akasha field. And we're able to go back. We're not able to change what happened, but we're able to bend time and change the emotions behind these experiences. And we get to have that conversation with the child. We get to ask the child, what do you need? Do you need your father to come through? What do you need? And the child is going to tell us what we need. The masters and teachers are going to give us the perfect recipe for each one of us, because for each one of us, the perception is going to be different for every experience. That's why I have 4 daughters. And if you ask 4 daughters about their parents, they're all going to tell you something different, because it's their perception at that moment in time that creates who you become. When we go back to that moment in time and we heal the emotions, and for everyone is different. We forgive, we have to have the conversation. We need something that is going to come with us to this present moment. Like magic, we start to change. The people around us start to change because they no longer have to do that job. They no longer have to remind us of what we came here to do. So everything is so beautiful, how it changes not only ourselves, but the energy of everyone that is around us. And then we can change the present, and then we change the future. We always try to change the future, but we cannot change the future if we don't go to the past and change the energy, the emotions. And just like Gaya said, we have things that serves us and we have things that don't serve us. That doesn't mean we're going to change who we are, and we're not going to let go of that part of us that we love. We're just going to transform our lives and become better at everything that we do.
Thank you so much, Claudia.
So beautiful.
As always, so beautiful.
So beautiful.
Indeed.
Claudia, wow. That was, I felt that one. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So this is our board of experts talking about the inner child. And now the turn is for Sami. Sami works with angels, with angel frequencies. So I know you have a lot to share about the inner child, because if there's anything closer to an angel, it's a child, right?
Thank you, Kike. And I'm in awe of all of you, what you've been talking. And I was in the Spanish section where I could hear Claudia as well. And it was so different, but it was so complimentary. And what you were guys talking is just like a big party for me. So if I start talking as I am feeling right now, I'm going to go and nobody's going to understand anything. So I will try to control myself. Well, the inner child, what the angels are keep coming and telling me, and it's funny enough because they start coming and telling me right now, is then is kind of like a dividing tool. They always try to express the ways that I can understand, and then you can understand, and will be easier for us to understand it. And one of the inner child parts is the connection with the everything, the connection with God, however you decide to call him or however you decide to perceive him. And is that connection then is the real truth, is the innocence, is what we see, then everything is perfect. Since everything is perfection, everything is love, everything is innocence, everything is beauty. Nothing can be wrong because we are in that frequency that you could say then is the everything. And the second part is the part that you come to work in this lifetime. So with this lifetime, what it happened if then we are a creation, we are the result of an experiment of people that have been an experiment themselves from other people. Because as I was telling my daughter today, we were talking and I say, sweetie, you didn't come with a manual. And I just saw my mother beside me and I say, hell, I'm talking like my mother right now. She used to tell me, you didn't come with a manual. And I say, I bet I would not read it either. So I will just go to the audiobook with you or check the movie. But we try to do the best. So when we are children and when we are adults and we are talking to children, sometimes we think that we are doing something right, because we feel at that moment. Maybe we feel pain. Maybe we feel that we're supposed to be as a parent to tell something to a child just to be the good parent. And that child is receiving a pain because we're taking it away. Like today is really the Children's Day in Bolivia. So congratulations to all my Bolivian friends and every child in the planet. And today, as my kid was, I think today my kid was being my biggest teacher. And they are, both of them, my biggest teachers. And I remember when she was a child, I invited other girls to be friends with her. And she didn't want to play with those kids. She just didn't want to play. But I got so upset with her. I was telling her, how you cannot play? This is your house and you need to treat them good. And in my head, I was being a good mother, trying to convince my kid to be a good host. But my kid didn't give a damn at that moment about being a good host. She just wanted to be happy. And those kids, she knew it and they didn't like her as she was at the essence. So when you grow up, you got that essence, that hurtful that you keep with you when you're an adult. So for that, I wanted to do it because I will do the therapy right now and then you can finish with the rest. You don't need to come back to me. So what I wanted to do is something that I borrowed from Louise Hay. Then is working with the inner child, and these have worked wonderful, and you can do it with people that is alive or is dead. But we are going to do with the first ones that we blame, that is our parents. So first of all, you breathe in because it's a way to relax. I mean, if you decide to meditate while you're running, well, go ahead. I don't care. It's just the moment that you feel more connected, more in peace. It doesn't matter if you're doing yoga or not. That's up to you, okay? The point is relax. Close your eyes, and when you have your eyes closed, go to your heart and imagine in your heart being a nice place. Whatever you feel comfortable. It can be a beautiful garden, it can be a beach, it can be a nice palace, whatever you feel comfortable and safe. At that moment, you're going to invite yourself when you were a child. At the moment when you see yourself as a child, you're going to look at it. At the time that was 2 years old, maybe 1, maybe 3, and you're going to look in the eyes of that child. How can you scream at that child? How can you complain to that child? How can you mistreat that child the way that you do it now to yourself? So I want you to look to that child and hug it. Hug the baby and tell it, I'm here for you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. And you know what? We are learning. It's okay. It's okay to commit mistakes. We are going to get better. Don't get stuck. I love you and I'm here for you. With that same love, see yourself looking at these other two kids. We are going to invite first your mom and then your dad, the same age. These little children, they were children at some point as well. They were scared. They didn't know what was going on. They were learning the same way that you were learning. So I want you to hug them and say, everything is okay. I love you so much. I know that you're learning. I know that it's a process. Thank you so much for doing your best. And hug them. And then you shrink them and put them in your heart and keep it in them. So when you open your eyes and see reality, you are going to shift how you're seeing what is going around you. For example, I remember my mom, and this is a funny story, tragically fun, but my mom used to tell me, when I was with you, she was going through a problems with my dad. When I was pregnant with you, I suffered so much, and this is why you have a brown eyes and a brown hair, because my brothers are blue eyes and green eyes, and they're blonde, and I'm the only born in my house. And I grew up thinking it is my fault that my mom suffered. As Claudia was saying, and as Gaya was saying, it is that second that you just come out and you get all the blame. And you're like, man, how could I do that? I mean, I make her suffer, and this is why I have a brown eyes. Of course, time passed, and I've been like, my poor mom didn't know about biology and didn't know about genetics. Hello, I just got a brown eyes because my grandmother got a brown eyes, not because I make her suffer. But having responsibility of your life right now, it means to understanding everybody had a learning process, and they start processing that learning. So thank you so much. And I'm sorry the guy wrapping up the whole thing, but I know you're going to pass me at the end.
You're allowed because you're always fun, and you bring us so much joy, Sami, dear Sami from Sami and Angels. Some of the experts, or all of the experts, I should say, are part of are members of the IAAAM, and this is just a portion of our big association. So we welcome you to learn more. So Richard, from a little girl to a little boy, you're next with a beard and a mustache.
Nowadays, you may want to clarify that. That might have come out a little.
Oh no! I mean,
add, of course,
from our previous guest to our next one.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Kike. I appreciate that. Yes. So, I love what everyone has said here. And another thing that I think we should talk about are boundaries, because you see, oftentimes as a child, we lose the perception of these boundaries. But when we put up boundaries, we're able to protect that inner child once we connect with them. That is something that I've realized that is very important, because along with that same meditation or acceptance that you're saying, as far as placing your hands over your heart and connecting with that inner child, and obviously loving that inner child, there's a part too of writing a letter to that inner child and acknowledging everything that inner child has gone through, what they might have suffered from, what they might have witnessed, things of that nature. And then once you're able to do that, then the boundaries will actually help facilitate your space. Because when you get triggered or challenged, in my case, a fear of abandonment, when I can connect and I can set boundaries, if I'm not attached to something, then I'm not abandoned. If I'm connected with myself, then I'm grounded. That's Dr. Newman has taught me those great words. I love Dr. Newman. I'll always say that he's the best. And he's the one who really, he's helped me understand this. I mean, if you think I'm wild now, you should have seen me before Dr. Newman. That was crazy. This is wild. There's a difference. There's levels to this. But
no comment. No comment. I plead the fifth here.
But anyhow, so that's a little part. I don't want to take too much time because I want to hear from everybody else. But yes, boundaries is important in writing that letter to that inner child and mailing it to yourself. Yes. Imagine you getting a letter to yourself, from yourself, but to your inner child. These are all beautiful things that I used to think were so crazy. Like, had you asked me about this before, I would be like, yeah, you guys are on another level. Like, I'm not there yet. But being there now, oh my, it feels so, it's so therapeutic. It's so beautiful. I'm just in love right now in the moment, in the space. So thank you, all of you, every single one of you for being here. It's important to me. I don't know how many people are listening or following, and I don't even really care. What I do care is I see you, and thank you. That fulfills my life. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. I love you all.
We love you too, Richard. Thank you so much. And you remind me of, it's almost as if the only day we can celebrate as kids is our birthday. In a way, it's like we're allowed to feel those emotions again, and get all those birthday cards and feel that, the balloons. It's a beautiful way of celebrating that inner child.
You know what's interesting, real quick? I'm so sorry, Kike.
Mm-hmm.
Every day is our birthday. When we wake up in the morning, we have a new day. It's a new day. And when we make it through the day, thank God I made it through the day. Maybe sometimes just skimming through or not, regardless, we made it. So yes, I love that. You're right.
We should
celebrate it more often. You let me know. We're going to talk after this. You and I are going to have a celebration.
Or a party. Gaya, dear Gaya, thank you. We want to hear from you on your perspective on healing that inner child.
Well, I think that meditation that Sami did was absolutely wonderful. Sometimes through like a light level hypnosis, which is a meditation. I mean, when you're in deep meditation, it's like being hypnotized. I hear so many people are afraid of hypnosis, but really you're never at a loss of control. You never lose control when you're in hypnosis. That's for the Hollywood, for the like shows, But in hypnosis, you're at a deep level of awareness of accessing the Akash. You're accessing memories that are stored somewhere so deep that when you're awake and conscious, you cannot access them. And so, and that place, it's a beautiful place to be able to have these connections with your inner child, to be able to access memories and emotions as if you were right there. At age 5, at age 3, you're able to recall things that, you could have experienced at age 1, that if you think in your mind, how could you even remember what it was like to be 1 year old? But in hypnosis or regression, you're able to go into a different time period and understand those emotions. And when you bring your adult self into the picture and you face that adult self the way Sami did right now in that meditation, connecting it with the child, with your innermost child, then you realize that we as adults have this power to heal the memories of that little one and to empower those memories so that we create new memories and then we're not victims anymore. We don't need to be sad, or we don't need to feel lonely anymore, because we realize that we are our best company and we can become our best healers. And it's a beautiful thing. So Sami, thank you so much for that beautiful meditation. I enjoyed it so much.
That was beautiful.
Longer.
That was beautiful, girl. I felt that.
And we can't help but see, but watch Rue, and she's like, reminds us that our pets are babies, and we should always sometimes behave like they do, and be receptive of that love. The way you handle her is beautiful.
Yeah, but she just wants to kiss my mouth, and I'm not up for that part.
Not on camera.
Or off.
Okay. I forgot the order. I would just leave it to Dr. Newman, I believe. You want to bring take the needles out and start
exactly. Exactly. So this is a wonderful segue for me, because both what Richard was saying and Gaya so far have struck some chords with me, because as I mentioned earlier, I believe that we're embodied souls, and the soul and creation, they're both original from the beginning, and there's no real separation, except that the soul, has the opportunity to be embodied and play different characters in the stage of creation as things unfold. But there's not a lot of distinction between what we really are and creation. So one of the things I think that's most confusing when we're born is that things seem polarized, and this is a very confusing world because, wait, how am I different from everything that's here all of a sudden? It's very disorienting, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this. When I was having these experiences, when I was a kid, I used to project out of my body. I used to dream of the future, things of that nature that are commonplace, these experiences amongst kids, right? But as we get older, those parts of ourselves become compartmentalized, and it's hard to access those natural gifts that we all have. The child is so powerful because they're close. They're close in resonance or frequency to everything else that exists. So part of the healing of the inner child for me is inviting that part of ourselves to come forward, to make room, and to celebrate that part of who we are, and know that we may choose to play different characters, but the inner child is always invited to have a seat on that stage and to witness as ourselves the drama of life and the lila, the play, the divine play that's unfolding all around us. But so part of it is the courage just to make space and invite that part of ourselves to come back and remind us that the world can be connected with using wonder and a sense of magic, because that's what it's all about. The dimensions that we live in are very, very fine, but we forget because it's a heavy place here on Earth. And last thing, it reminds me of a story that I imagine is familiar to you guys, and hopefully to those who are watching, of an older sister who's always trying to sneak into the room of her infant brother and try to get time alone with her infant brother. And the parents at first are kind of suspicious of this, so they try to keep her away and this and that. But eventually she makes her way in there, and the parents watch, what's unfolding. So the big sister gets really close to the crib and leans over to her brother and says, "Quick, tell me what God looks like before I forget." It happens that fast. Things start calcifying, and we get locked into these tight ways of doing things and forget that really we are freely loving and harmonious and powerful and intelligent beings that resonate with all of creation. And as the genie in Aladdin, we're put into these little boxes, and we forget that that's all available to us all the time. Go for it. Thank you.
Wow. So
Nice.
beautiful. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Doc, remember, I need to talk to you about signs of what a wounded inner child looks like, and how an inner child and a wounded inner child affects our adult relationships.
I will have to talk about that, because when you mentioned boundaries, it came up for me because it's important to circle the wagons and to protect. It is, but really to get the solutions we're looking for, we have to create space and open up eventually. And those boundaries should be semi-permeable. We should allow things by our choosing to come through those boundaries when they suit us, because in essence, we're not separate from anything.
Of course, absolutely. Hence why it's so important. The way I interpret it, and we can talk about this, or we can make it a session. You want to get wild? Let's get wild. We can make it a session right now.
It's only Monday.
Live,
only Monday.
My Mondays are like Fridays, buddy.
It's like a triple Friday, half a Sunday today. But anyway,
I think we can plan another encounter, so we can expand on that.
Okay, that sounds good. We'll circle back to this. Thank you.
Yes. Just real quick, Dr. Newman and Richard, they have I Am Bully Free. And this is an initiative that they created to help children who are being bullied. Gentlemen, I would love for you guys to share with people what you're doing with I Am Bully Free. I mean, to let people know how you're really helping these children heal something that they probably picked up at a much earlier phase.
So it's first and foremost, it's not for children only, it's for everybody, because we're all bullied by people in our workplace and family, by our own limiting self-beliefs. And guess what? The bully is often bullied, you know? So this I Am Bully Free Now campaign, which really Richard is spearheading, so he should probably jump in here, it's a campaign that helps give people access to free counseling and coaching, free Aikido, which is a nonviolent art of peace, martial art, free resources in the community that can get people empowered and out of situations where they may have been locked down by all of those things I mentioned, fill in the blank. You know, we try to enlist the help of perhaps other specialists like yourselves to connect with those who are struggling under the pressures of bullying, whatever that means in whatever context. Richard?
Thank you, sir. You're very kind of you. And Gaya,
you're welcome, sir.
You're the best. You know, really, you never cease to amaze me. And honestly, the reason why I put the attention back on Dr. Newman is because Dr. Newman was who inspired me to actually come up with the I Am Bully Free Now. See, the truth of the matter is when I had mentioned earlier, as far as showing up with all these battle wounds, I showed up to Dr. Newman's practice with all these battle wounds. And as I got to understand who Dr. Newman is and what his passion is and his outlook on life, it was so amazing for me because it helped me rationalize what I was going through. And it helped me bring out the alchemy in me, which was actually more, I was really truthfully just a good-hearted person in a world of people just trying to survive. And sometimes that comes at a cost, at a high price at times. And I was blessed to have met Dr. Newman and seeing what Dr. Newman does. If you noticed, he said Aikido. I don't practice Aikido. I've practiced Jeet Kune Do and other practices, but never even anywhere close to the amount of time that Dr. Newman has. He's a 4th degree black belt, 27 years, I think, or something rather, give or take. I mean, who's counting after the first black belt? You're like, what? Really? This is crazy. He's on a 4th degree. And so as I ended up meeting him, I realized, much like myself, there's a lot of people who could benefit from understanding and learning and following the principles that Dr. Newman lives by, because it's been so beneficial to me. In fact, I'm here today because of that. I met Gaya through Dr. Newman. So he's opened up amazing doors for me. And my passion in life, one of the many, is I remember where I was at and I don't forget. But there's a lot of people who, man, I would have loved to have met him 10, 20 years ago, had I been ready, maybe. But still, even still, just to know that I connected with someone who's so amazing as he is, I'm honored every day to wake up. So yes, the I Am Bully Free is now. He inspired me because he's willing to sacrifice his free time to help all these people, to empower them. And I just had the vision of the I Am is with our hypnotherapist. She does the affirmations, she does the self-belief and all that limiting, the consciousness part of it, even though Dr. Newman can too. Dr. Newman does the Aikido part, the actual part of the self-defense and the grounding and the mind, body, being and connecting part.
And just for a quick second, the Aikido is a martial art of peace. You protect yourself, but you protect your attacker also. You make space so that you're safe, but you make enough space for that person too, because in that moment, they're so out of balance that they're lashing out at the world in the way that they do. So it's a different kind of martial art in that sense.
Thank you.
And by the way,
right.
you can learn it in just a couple of minutes, at least the basics. So it's there for everybody. Anyhow.
Thank you. No, absolutely. Thank you for pointing that out, because that's important. And lastly, the time is now. The time is now to act, because it's not just with boys, kids, grandparents, teachers, but it's also, and we'll circle back into, and thank you, Gaya, for pointing this out, but we'll circle back into how this affects our relationships. Because see, as bullies, we may have not been bullied as kids, but bully becomes sexual harassment at work, unequal pay, thinks of those types of natures. And our daughters are out there, our daughters that are one day will maybe be mothers, be sisters, aunts, and that affects our culture. And us as men, we look the other way because it's not our child, right? We ain't got nothing to worry about that, right? But wrong. And it's very unfortunate to see that nothing has ever really been done about this. So this is a movement of all of us part of it. It's not just me. It's not just Dr. Newman. It's everybody and anything. But anyhow, circling back, let's go back to how these child traumas affect our adult relationships. Because if we're not healed, then imagine the baggage we bring to our relationships.
Well said.
Touche.
Well, this seems to be extending, and maybe we should plan for a second meeting on the topic. And we'd love to hear more about those initiatives of learning Hapkido. I certainly would be interested in that. So we thank you for that. I think we only have a few minutes left. I would just leave it for any one of you, maybe Claudia or Sami, for us to close this presentation. I wanted to point out that intuition is something that we as holistic therapists are always interested in, in expanding and letting be the ruler or at least a guide in all our practice. And with that example, that story you gave us of that sister, we definitely want to be in that place, and we want to hear from those kids that still have the gift of seeing more, seeing beyond. So that's very beautiful. Healing the inner child. How would we finish this presentation? Claudia, perhaps?
Well, there's so many ways. I think as in the present moment, we have to gain consciousness, right? Get in touch with the pain, go inward. We tend to look outward and blame our husbands, our bosses, everybody. But we are the ones that are in every scene of the crime, right? So we have to take some responsibility of the people that we're attracting into our lives. And that doesn't mean that we have to allow or be okay, right? But once we take the responsibility, we understand our side, our 50%. And we need to take care of that 50% in order to stop attracting these things into our lives. And using that inner child, going back, because children have such a beautiful imagination. As children, we played, we were the teachers, we were the doctors, we were the presidents, right? And then we grow up and we forgot about that imagination. And in my line of work, the more imagination you have, the deeper you're going to get into the memories, into the Akashic records, right? And the subconscious mind does not understand what's real and what's not. So when we go back and we tap into those emotions, not so much the experience, but the emotions. And I tell people, let's forget about the experience. Let's forget about the obvious, the one thing that you remember. Let's just tap into how you feel right now. Let's bring it, because we become these pressure cookers when we start talking about the emotions, and these emotions are going to come to the surface. And when we tap into those and we start to understand where they are in our body, how do they feel like? How do they look like? What temperature do they have? With that information, we can travel to the past to find those same colors, that same temperature. And that's when we're going to find the root of the cause. And then right there, we're going to give that imagination. We're going to bring a different color, a different emotion, everything that we needed at that moment in time. Because we're like the GPS, we want something, we're going to put an address into our GPS and our car is going to go. But then if we change gears midway and we want to go somewhere else, we have to change that address. So we come here and we have this experience, and that experience is going to take us in this way, because we're going to attract everybody in our lives that are going to show us that same emotion, to give us the opportunity to change, to take different action. But what happens is we change jobs, we get divorced, we move to a different country. And guess what? There's another person, another job that is with that same attitude, just disguised into a different thing. And then we continue those same patterns. And that's another thing we need to look at, the patterns in our lives, not the people, the patterns, the emotions that we continue. And also we bring contracts from other lifetimes. And we get to that 11:59 hour where it's time to change. And if we don't, we start a new cycle. We start a new contract. So we need to understand and go deep and just go beyond the experience. Just go with the emotions, where you feel it in your body. How does it look like? How does it feel like? To give the opportunity to go to the root cause, not just what it's obvious.
Did you say 11:59 contract?
We get to the 11:50.
What is that?
So we bring contracts from other lifetimes.
Do you know what happens at midnight?
We get opportunity to change. So we get to that end of that contract. And that's when, for example, we're in a relationship and things all of a sudden are not going right. And that's when you say, you know, it is time for me to leave. It's time for me to get divorced. It's time for me to do this. I'm not comfortable. I'm not happy. And then we let that 11:50 hour pass. And then we go back into that same relationship and we start making justifications and excuses. And then we start a new cycle, which could be 7 years, 1 year, 5 months, 6 months. And then we get to that 11:59 hour. And that's when the opportunity comes to say, this is no longer serving me. And it's not serving me because of this, and this. And I don't like the person that I have become. I'm ready. We let it go. And now we're going to bring exactly what we want into our lives. And we start a new agreement.
Yes.
A contract, a new
That's
agreement.
beautiful. And at midnight, you can turn into Cinderella.
That's right.
Because that's exactly, and this is your fairy tale. This is your story. And you're right. You choose, right? And you choose that inner child. And so thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That was unexpected. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Seems like we are on our 11:59 to finish this presentation. So what will we make of it? It's up to us. I think it's been there's been wonderful information, and now we're all on the same. We're together in the screen, so we can say goodbye to.
So if I may, real quick, maybe if we can all just clap, and if we all clap at the same time, right? We're clapping for the moment. We're clapping for our inner child. We're sparking that inner child to come up and be present in this moment. So let's just.
That's a great idea, and you guys are wonderful hosts.
I love you all. Thank you.
And please find out more about the IAAAM. This is part of us. www.IAAAM.net, right? And you will certainly hear from any of us, either Gaya, Dr. Newman, Richard, Claudia, or Sami. We'd love to tell you more about what we do. So that's it for now. Hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, everyone.
And see you our next presentation. Could be anything. If it has to do with growing and feeling happy in this life. Okay? Thank you, guys.
Thank you. What an honor to be here with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for this moment. See you very, very soon.
That was beautiful. That's beautiful. Let's come on. Let's be honest. That feels good. I know. We feel it. You feel that? I was in the Spanish one, and that was very insightful. This one, you feel that, right? That's you. Had you not been here, it wouldn't be possible. So thank you. I appreciate it. From my inner child.
Just mind you, when I hit the end meeting, it's gonna be because I need to cut the broadcast. Okay? Kisses for all of you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You.
Bye-bye.